It's our weekly conversation with Milwaukee Admirals head coach Karl Taylor. Karl, last week we talked about the schedule and the COVID-related rescheduling of games. You played your first stretch of 3-3. This is a stretch of 6 games in 8 days. First stretch went pretty well, it seems.
Yeah, the first game we had a slow start, and then we got going and found a way to get back into it. Didn't like our effort in the second game, but in the end, we end up in a situation where we have to go into Grand Rapids, which is a hard place to play. They have a pretty full lineup, and our group really found a way to, if I reflect, we had a quick meeting in the morning, and then, David called a team meeting and had a chance to have the whole group kind of refocus and showed great leadership. And then we came out with gangbusters and got away with it. So whatever his message was, don't tell anyone, but I'm going to tell him it was my message, and we won't give David any credit for that.
You know what? I'm curious. You have said several times over the last few years how much you enjoy playing in Grand Rapids with how that building is and how the fans are. I'm curious, when there's hardly any fans, is it the same thing?
They had a few fans there. It's one of my favorite arenas, favorite cities. GR is a great town. It's a perfect size. They do a great job bringing in lots of families, and the crowds are usually large, but obviously that wasn't the case in this game. But I think our group may have caught GR thinking, the other team's 3-3, and they also had some issues they're getting through the COVID response. I don't know how much practice time they had, etc. It's one of those seasons where, what your schedule is and what's occurring doesn't necessarily lead you down the same path that you would expect in a regular season. Because yes, we were doing a 3-3, but they weren't allowed to skate for a couple of days, and maybe we come in more game ready than they are, and we take advantage of that, even though we're a little tired.
There's that conception and let's say misconception about back-to-backs and 3-3s that they're so tired. I mean, let's be honest; these are premier athletes that want to play games. That's the bottom line on all of this. So to think that a team played last night, so we'll catch them, that's hardly the case.
Yeah, playing those 3-3s can be challenging, but nowadays they're like, I remember in the East Coast League, we would play Friday, Saturday with travel, and then have a 1:00 on Sunday, which was just brutal. So, you're rolling in 8 a.m. You just go to the rink, and then you have your game. So, I think in the 3-3s, you really need to have someone step up in the moment, and I think we had that in GR. Phil Tomasino really found a way to take the game over and just dominate early, and I don't think he was happy with his efforts, which allowed him to really show some growth and maturity in his game and attack. And, he was a big part of our win. So I think it's a situation where the 3-3s are just part of what it is. And the guys, especially all that are going through this situation, it's new to a lot of them, and it's a really good learning experience for them.
Over this last weekend, I love seeing Anthony Richard's name in the scoring column. And that's obviously a part of his game, and it has been a big part of his game, but how well-rounded he has become over the last few years since we first saw him 5 years ago in Milwaukee. It's really cool to see, and it's really cool to see because we've focused on so many other players this year that have gotten their shot in Nashville, but Richie is seemingly having a great season.
Yeah, Richie's had starts and spits here and there, but I think he's a guy that everyone knows well. He's a speed player. He has elite skating, elite explosive power, and he's been a good scorer in the American League level for Milwaukee for a number of years. And I think, right or wrong, been pushed in the pile, and he's had to fight through it. Other guys have gotten opportunities this year, which can be very difficult for a player to understand why or how to deal with. But we changed over the last week with Rich, and I think he's getting rewarded for that, as far as he's just digging in and trying to find a way to stand up and make a fight for himself. And our whole staff was very happy for him to get rewarded with some goals this past 3-3. And it's not just the goal scoring for Rich, though, but I thought his battle level was there. I thought he was competing hard. He was winning pucks and using his speed effectively. So I think when those things get put together, Rich just said, enough. Well, we're running out of time here, and I got to make a stand for myself. He did a great job this past weekend.
With the season winding down and the schedule being what it is, being very hectic right at the moment, are you getting an opportunity to see some of these college kids, some of these junior kids come in? Are you getting a chance to work with them closely like you would assume, we assume next season in Milwaukee?
I think it's a little different. I think you get more time with them, and you have more time availability to work after practice and all those things with the players. Like, so you have Mark DeGazio's come in, and he's going to play tomorrow. So usually at this time of the year, when you're down at the end, you're really focused on your main group.
Yeah.
And your assistant coaches and your development guys are the guys that are working with the young players coming in. And the head coach is really focused, not that your assistants aren't, but the head coach is really focused on that current season. And I think this is a little different where we know the end is coming. It's not going to shock us when it happens. It's going to be May 15th. We're very aware of that. So it's a little different scenario where we can dig in a little more. And with all the new players coming in, when you have Solo coming in, you have DeGazio, these guys, we're trying to get them up and running and trying to give everything we can to help them so that if they do end up starting in Milwaukee with us, they got a head start on everyone else.
Well, and you get, like you said, if you're getting that time, that's only beneficial for next year. Now you both have a better opportunity to understand where each one is coming from and what you expect and what you can learn and so on and so on.
Yeah, it's why we do the development camps. It's why we're at the draft. It's just stage one at the draft. You meet the parents, you meet the player that's been drafted. Then you see them again at development camp. They see the connection, they see the tie to the organization. Then they see you at Nashville camp. So this is all a process of building a relationship so that when you do get your hands on the player, if they do start at the American League level in Milwaukee, you always already had 3 or 4 touches with them, and they understand that it's just part of the process. So the first day they meet you is when they arrive, and it also goes with our East Coast Hockey League affiliation. I've always felt it's really good to have the East Coast Hockey League coach around as much as possible and really try to include them what we're doing, whether it's in rookie camp or in Nashville or wherever you're playing or wherever you're doing, so that they see that he's part of the organization. It's a natural progression to what you're trying to do, and the relationship gets built early, and then you can get off the races a little earlier in the fall.
Real quick, since you bring up the ECHL, do you have much contact with what's going on in Florida at all this season, or has it been such that you need to obviously spend all of your time in Chicago?
Yeah, I know the coach there well, and having coached there, I think it's important that you understand what they're going through. I haven't been at that level for a while, so it's obviously changed. But I think having some empathy for that situation and what that league is and the demands that are on the coach. The coach in Florida is Brad Ralph, and Brad we have a previous relationship when he was in Idaho and I was in Texas. And so I've known him for a number of years. So I ask questions of Brad when it comes to calls me, and we'll talk about hockey or different items and share information about guys. And so he knows he has a resource here that has been in the league at that level and understands what the job responsibilities are. I think that helps. But with Brad and with him coming, he's been part of our rookie camps in Nashville. He's come to Milwaukee. He's part of our organization and what we're doing. So I think it's important that the players see that, and they understand that if they do start out in the East Coast League level, that you're not on an island of misfit toys. You're actually part of what we're doing, and you're part of our organization. We just want you playing and getting lots of responsibility.
Very good. Good stuff. Coach, good to see you. Thanks for the time and good luck this week.
All right. Thank you, Eric.
All right. That's Milwaukee Admirals head coach Karl Taylor.